Redstone, a category that everybody in the Minecraft community somehow always talks about. It's all about that one strange mechanic, quasi-connectivity, a thing that has existed in Minecraft for years. And somehow, even today, the Java and Bedrock Redstone communities are still running on completely different paths. Back when pistons were first added to Minecraft, players immediately started experimenting with them. People kept pushing the limits of what pistons could do, from simple Jeb doors to complicated 3x3 piston doors. But of course, there were some catches. At that time, pistons were still kind of buggy and chunky. They weren't very reliable, and redstone contraptions could behave in strange ways. Not too different from how Bedrock Edition redstone can feel today. One of those strange behaviors eventually became what we now call quasi-connectivity. Originally, it was considered a bug. A piston could sometimes be powered even when the redstone signal wasn't directly touching it. But instead of removing it, Mojang decided to keep the behavior. Over time, the community learned how to use it, and what started as a bug slowly became one of the most important mechanics in Java Edition Redstone. Meanwhile, Bedrock Edition went in a completely different direction. And that difference is why today, redstone builds that work perfectly in Java can completely break in Bedrock. But to understand why quasi-connectivity exists, we need to look at how redstone components actually detect power. Normally, a redstone component activates when it receives a signal directly through redstone dust, a repeater, or another powered block. Pretty simple. But pistons are different. Instead of only checking the block next to them, pistons in Java Edition also check the block above them. This strange behavior actually comes from another redstone component, the door. Doors were programmed to check for power above them, so players could place a button on the wall above a door and still open it. When pistons were later added to the game, part of that same power-checking logic was reused. And that's where things get interesting. Because if the block above a piston gets powered, the piston thinks it is powered too, even though the signal never actually touched the piston itself. That strange indirect powering is what the community eventually named quasi-connectivity. But quasi-connectivity alone doesn't activate a piston immediately. Instead, it puts the piston into a ready state. The piston only actually moves when it receives a block update, something like a nearby block changing, a redstone signal updating, or another piston moving. This is why so many Java Redstone builds rely on things like update detectors, bud switches, observer chains, and carefully timed block updates. Without those updates, a quasi-powered piston mostly will just sit there and do nothing. But this is where the story splits into two completely different directions: Java Edition and Bedrock Edition. In Java Edition, quasi-connectivity became a core part of how redstone works. Pistons, droppers, and dispensers can all be quasi-powered, and the community slowly learned how to use this strange mechanic to their advantage. Over time, players built incredibly compact and complex machines that relied on quasi-connectivity and block updates to function. Many classic redstone creations depend on it. Flying machines, update detectors, compact piston doors, and even certain farms all use quasi-connectivity somewhere in their design. For Java Redstoners, it isn't just a weird mechanic anymore. It's part of the foundation of the entire system. But Bedrock Edition took a very different path. In Bedrock, quasi-connectivity simply doesn't exist. Components only activate when they are directly powered, which makes the system more straightforward and predictable. While this makes Redstone easier to understand for many players, it also means that a lot of Java Edition contraptions simply won't work. A redstone build that works perfectly in Java might completely fail in Bedrock, even if the player copied the design block for block. Not because the player made a mistake, but because the rules behind the redstone are fundamentally different. That difference is why the Java and Bedrock Redstone communities have developed in completely separate ways. Java players often design machines around quasi-connectivity and update mechanics, while Bedrock players design around direct power and consistency. Two editions, the same redstone dust, but two very different systems. And in the end, neither system is really better than the other. Java Edition has strange mechanics like quasi-connectivity that allow for incredibly compact and technical machines, while Bedrock Edition focuses more on consistency and direct power. Both communities have developed their own styles, their own designs, and their own creative solutions, and that's part of what makes the Minecraft Redstone community so interesting. But before you click off the video, and trust me, you don't want to miss the rest of this explanation. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing and leaving a like because it really helps the channel grow and lets me know you want to see more Redstone explanations like this. Now, as I was saying, no matter which edition you play, Redstone is still all about experimenting, discovering weird mechanics, and building things that once seemed impossible. That's why the Redstone community has kept evolving for years, with players constantly finding new tricks, new designs, and new ways to push the limits of the game. And if you have any ideas for other Redstone mechanics or contraptions you want me to explain in the future, feel free to leave them in the comments because I'd love to read them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.